All right, the hangout on air is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking About Survivor. I am Christiana Ellis.
And I'm Mike.
Tonight we're going to talk about this is the pre-show for Survivor Heroes, Healers, Hustlers, season 36, right? 35.
Yep.
35 of Survivor. We're going to, as is our tradition by now, we're going to make snap judgments about the castaways for this season based on nothing but a photo and a few lines of promo text. But first,
Snap judgments.
Snap judgments. That's right. So first, we touched on this a little bit way back during the finale of last season, just the nature of the theme for this season. But to recap, and now that we've settled with the idea a little bit, what are your current thoughts on the theme for this season?
I mean, it's fine. It's, I'm okay with these themed ones. Just because it adds like this other layer to like how they interact socially, because now they have like this expectation, which I think just adds a new, now having looked back at a few seasons, it adds an interesting dynamic to the social experiment that is Survivor, to now give a label to people, even if it's artificial, and see how they change and respond within that labeling structure, as well as in the group norming, as well as in the competition, as well as, as long as this has been going on, and as much as, some of the regular stuff has just kind of become, played to a certain extent, this gives a new theme to it. So I really don't care what they are. I thought a lot about it, like kind of reflecting back on the Millennials and the Gen Xers one or whatever, when we were sort of interviewed by the labeling. And when I kind of thought back on the season and the idea that they would behave in ways to try to live up to what their label was, even if that wasn't truly who they are, made it almost interesting that they were artificial labels. So whatever they want to classify them, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Well, I think all of that is a very sensible way to approach the whole thing. I was just going to comment on how there have been themes in past seasons that I was not a fan of, that I kind of was just irritated by, but it was generally always on a superficial pet peeve style level, as opposed to a really real complaint about the show, right? But that said, all those things considered, I kind of like this one. It kind of harkens back to harkens back. Is that the phrase? I feel like there's some other word there. Anyway, the past season that was white collar, blue collar, no collar.
Yeah.
But in some ways,
I think they did the best. Yeah.
Yeah. And that one was interesting, and it was really kind of interesting to think about too. But one of the things that happened on that one is that there were several people who felt like their categorization seemed weird to them. I wonder if that'll be the case with this one. We'll go through and see each person's profession and maybe make the case of, like, does this seem like a profession that fits neatly into one of those three categories, or is it really all going to be just a mess and they're arbitrary? But we'll see. So as we have done in the past, we're going to take these 18 castaways. We're using the bios that are on the website at cbs.com/shows/survivor/cast. And you can find there, they have a photo of all of them, and you click on each to go to a short bio for them. And we're going to take 2 minutes for each one. And whatever we can glean from their bio in that time, we will discuss and then move on to the next. Keep it moving.
Yep.
All right. So I am setting the timer. Let's see. Let's get 2-minute timer. And let's see, what's a good, well, By the Seaside, I think we've used before. Did that come through? Yeah. All right. So without further ado, let's start with our first castaway, Alan Ball. Not presumably the showrunner of 6 Feet Under and the director of American Beauty, but a different Alan Ball.
Yes.
Also, True Blood. That was the other one. All right. Anyway, let's see. He is an NFL player. So is that a hero, a healer, or a hustler?
Yeah, it doesn't say, does it?
No.
I would have to think he's a hustler.
Yeah, that would be my guess. There is another site that does show who's in which tribe, but I think maybe we'll have to just guess for all of these.
It's kind of funny that it doesn't show their tribe.
Yeah. So let's
see. Because he was a defensive back, so he was fast.
Mm-hmm. His reason for being on Survivor, playing football, has fed my drive to compete physically for a long time. Of course, there are mental aspects, but I feel like this is competing mentally, physically, and strategically. I also want to win on my own merit. No coaches, no practice, just me winning outside of something I've done for years. It's kind of a weird take. Like, do football players generally feel like because they're on a team and there's a coach that somehow that lessens their own? I guess it's a collaborative thing as opposed to individual. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think he's basically just saying, I want to try winning in an individual sport, and I want to try something that's outside my comfort zone, not something I'm already an expert at, already been a professional at.
Yeah.
I just think it's a challenge to him. I think it's a good motivation.
Sure. If he could have 3 things on the island, he would want hot sauce because it makes everything better, a picture of his wife, and baby wipes.
I like 2 of those 3 things.
Did you did you know him by name? Since you follow football and all?
Yes, I'm familiar with him.
All right.
He played on the Cowboys, I think, most recently.
Okay. Well, that was our timer. So let's move on to number 2, Patrick Bolton. He is a small business owner, which for sure has got to be a hustler, right? Yeah. Hobbies: traveling to new places, snow and water skiing, and fishing. I can't help but wonder, small business owner feels like, go ahead and tell us what business it is. That matters a little bit.
It says right here, staying our business, bolt movers.
Bolt movers. Okay, they move bolts. Well, no, I guess his name is Bolton. So just movers. All right, movers. That's a very hustler type of small business.
And I'm guessing they chose Bolt because it's probably like a lightning bolt logo, like they move you fast. Hustle.
He wants teriyaki sauce rather than hot sauce if he could bring it. And then next, so his 3 things: teriyaki sauce. Next would be Takis, hot chili and lime flavor, and then a pen and pad. Pen and pad. That, I feel like that's a weird way to say that. And finally, a pen and pad to document each play that made me Soul Survivor, as though there are not cameras on you all the time, but that's fine. He wants to win $1 million. He is a businessman, and this is a business trip.
I hope he says that a lot in the show. Not because I think it's awesome. Well, it is awesome, but not in like the Mormon sarcastic way.
Yeah. He says he believes he can withstand the challenges in every facet, can solve puzzles, work well with my team, strategize, and in most cases, beat out my competitors with my endurance. Oh, he says he can fish, build a shelter, and probably start a fire. I wonder why you're qualifying probably there is a little funny. Have you tried it? I mean, that sounds like he practiced and was successful sometimes, but not always.
And then he has the standard strategy of I will be too valuable to get rid of, but not outperform to look like a threat. I feel like that's 80% of all Survivor players come in with that idea.
Yeah. The timer actually started to go, and I cut it off before it was actually audible, so that counter was a little bit counterproductive.
Okay.
All right. So next, Ben Drybergen. Drybergen. He is a Marine, so that's got to be hero, right?
Yep, I would guess.
Pet peeves, whining. That just jumps right out of me. He looks like a compared to our last guy. His answers to all of these questions are much shorter.
Yes, he's very direct.
Instead of a whole paragraph on the 3 things he would bring, it's my cowboy hat, my boots, and my running shoes. All right. Okay. He says, which Survivor contestant are you most like? Mix of Russell Hantz, Boston Rob, and Joe Englund. It's like, all right, okay. I'm just kind of grimacing. Yeah, he's like a little conniving and manipulative like Russell, have the determination and confidence of Boston Rob, and the athletic ability of Joe. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm just immediately thinking, okay, I feel like I know how he's going to play, which is aggressive and reckless. That's what it sounds like from that description to me. But yeah, well, we'll see. His inspiration in life is Michael Blake Wofford, because he gave his life for our country. We were together in Iraq and we were a team. Oh, that's interesting. Like I was going to say, do we know that name? But I guess it was one of his buddies in the Marines. That's kind of nice.
He does appear to have the other strategy, like you talked about. It says, my social game's on point. My leadership and survival skills have been tried, tested, and proven. So it sounds like he's going to take a leadership role right out the gate.
Right. It's always an interesting question with the military officers, because in many ways they have been put to some of the same kinds of challenges in terms of, deprivation and struggle, the physical endurance, and all of those things that make the game difficult. Whoops. But
and working as a team under those circumstances.
Right. But also when all of the other people on the team are also in the military, which is a different situation.
Yes.
But there was our timer. So next up, the first woman of the of our ordering here is Alexandria Ali Ellicott. And AVG, my antivirus, is trying to tell me my computer's too slow. All right. Well, let's see. She's a celebrity assistant, so that's probably hustler, right?
Yeah, that's got to be.
Yeah.
That's sort of that LA, big business or celebrity business thing. So
yeah. What's your personal claim to fame? I would say my diploma. All right.
Got to feel like there's more.
I'm looking to see what it says for, what it's for. It doesn't look like it says, but that's all right. Her inspiration in life is Jesus.
I feel like there's some family background that's left out of that diploma thing, like
first, like maybe
first woman in her family or something.
Could be. She's 24. We didn't mention the ages of the last people. Let's see. Her primary reason for being on Survivor, my primary motivation would be to see if I am even capable. It's an interestingly, I feel like usually by the time they're actually cast on the show, people are kind of a little bit more, at least attempting to project the confidence that they know that they're capable, even if they might have their own private doubts. But that's kind of a humble way to put it. I'm pretty well-rounded individual, and I feel I can excel at the social, physical, and mental aspects of Survivor. My time is now. She has a ton of pet peeves. Sorry, I don't want to talk over you.
No, I was just going to say, she seems like a pretty positive, humble person, so kind of a little different than the guy before.
Yeah. She does hate busy parking lots and despise traffic. And living in LA has raised my blood pressure to all of this. Oops. But those are very ordinary things to be irritated by.
That's what I was going to say. Like that's almost like a pet peeve of mine is when people list things as pet peeves that are just general annoyances. You know, like that's not like because pet would indicate that it's like personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole idea. And
yeah.
those are things that are pretty universally annoying.
Yeah, right. A pet peeve specifically suggests that you hold more animosity towards it than would otherwise be rational. Whereas it is very rational to be irritated by traffic. All right. So next up, John J.P. Hilzebeck. He is 28. He is a firefighter. So there's a hero. I would guess. Although in some cases, firefighters could also, they get healer training, right? But I would think hero is the better fit.
Yeah, I mean, they are a first responder, so they kind of match both.
Yeah. Personal claim to fame, being hired as a firefighter and having a good group of friends that I can count on. I like that. His reason for being on Survivor, the experience, the adventure, and the chance to win the $1 million. Kind of generic, but straightforward.
Yep.
Let's see.
He would bring his dog Thor, a GoPro, and a picture of family and friends. Oh,
and CBS wants to play sound, even though there we go. That ad that was just playing sound was muted. It had a little icon to indicate that it was muted even as it was playing the sound. That's annoying. And we're taking it out on JP here. After watching this show, he always told himself, I could do that. He loves being in the outdoors and the elements, so that's always a positive when someone already has a pre-existing experience and enjoyment of that. Although we have seen a few people, like Sari is a good example. We have seen people who didn't have that to begin with, but, learned fast,
Yep.
Let's see. He does talk about medical calls. When we go on medical calls, we have to pick apart the problem and figure out what's wrong so we can treat the patient. I wonder if that suggests that he has been placed on the healer team.
Yeah, that answer would sound like knows that he's on the healer team, or that they ask questions based on him being on the healer team.
Yeah, it could be. All right. Next up, Chrissy Hoffbeck. She is 46, and she is an actuary, which, probably hustler, I guess? I don't really know what actuaries do. I mean, they're like notaries, aren't they? I don't really know, I guess.
Don't they, predict insurance? Isn't that kind of what
yeah, that's right. It's, it helps, it's like a bookie for if people are going to die early or not. That's not a terrible way to say it. I'm sure it's a noble profession.
I guess it's a hustler.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would fit into any of the others, unless it's just a generic sense of she works in the healthcare industry.
Yeah, then that would answer our question as to whether they just sort of artificially built these.
Yeah. She personal claim to fame, traveled through all 7 continents. I'm proud of having graduated from Penn as a math major and MIT, and really proud of the 3 incredible humans that my husband and I have raised. Those are some notable achievements there.
Yeah.
Those are all 7 continents is I think Antarctica seems like the tough one there, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's cool. Her biggest inspiration in life, husband and children, they are amazing in every way. But anyone who is afraid but goes for it anyway, and women in math. But I like the anyone who's afraid but goes for it anyway. I like that. Reason for being on Survivor?
No, I just echoed your
Okay.
Like,
She wants to be on the Survivor of the adventure, but it's an adventure with a goal, and I am super competitive. Type A, overachiever. I will win. Whoop. I kind of like her.
yeah.
All right. Next up, Jessica Johnston. She is 29. She is a nurse practitioner. That's, I think, our first unambiguous healer. Pet peeves, any and all can openers. They just don't work. I actually just ordered a new can opener, but that is irrelevant. That's a weird pet peeve, though.
But that's more like what a pet peeve should be.
Yeah, exactly. It's unusual. She thinks she'll survive Survivor because she is extremely physically and mentally resilient, as well as disciplined. That all of that makes sense with a nurse practitioner. I would think all of those things are important for that job. Driven by failures, challenges, and goals. I don't react solely on good feelings. When I sense there is something to be accomplished, my type A personality comes out. In the same breath, my sanguine personality always stands out as being a super social optimist, which will give me favor with the other players. I could win Miss Congeniality of Survivor if there was such an award. Those three sentences don't go very well with each other, in my opinion. What do you think?
No.
She's basically describing three different kinds of personalities and saying they are all her. Type A personality, sanguine personality, and then Miss Congeniality.
Yeah,
that's okay. I mean, she's a multi-dimensional person.
We'll see.
Yep. If you could have three things, it would be baby powder, because it makes her hair do incredible things. Also a Swiss Army knife, standard, practical, and a fishing pole, because this girl likes to eat. Her personal claim to fame, doctorate in nursing before the age of 21, and creating a health and wellness brand, Bellavist.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. I don't know what age people would normally get that doctorate, but, certainly a notable achievement for sure.
Yeah. I mean, most people graduate undergrad at 21.
Mm-hmm.
So she's 2 degrees ahead by 21. So
no, I thought it said 28 doctorate when she's 28.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you said 21. That's why I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, doctorate is still an achievement, but I mean, 28 seems like kind of almost the expected time frame, right? You graduate your undergrad at 21, and then 7-8 years of medical. Yeah. All right, next up, Rourke Luskin, which is an unusual name for a woman, but sure, why not? She is 27. She is a social worker, which is also probably a healer.
Yeah.
I'm just immediately leaving out hobbies, falling into bachelor social media black holes, listening to the Yeah Dude podcast, reading Yelp reviews of generic businesses like my local Starbucks. All right. Okay. I mean, I think it's interesting because, doing that sort of thing is certainly, I can relate to that behavior, but I wouldn't usually call it a hobby. I don't know.
Well, she does say later that she's sarcastic as one of her personality types, so maybe that's...
Yeah, she's being self-deprecating. What's your reason for being on Survivor? She says, clearly there is something wrong with me. So I'd say that bears out your suggestion that she's being clever with her answers here.
Yeah, and we see who her inspiration in life is.
Beyonce's daughter, Blue Ivy. Is Beyonce's daughter named Blue Ivy? I didn't even know that.
It is, but I think she's, again, trying to be funny. So
yeah. What's your personal claim to fame? I've had a photo taken of me every single day of my life. All right. That seems like it would just start to feel like a lot of work after a while. I mean, it's not hard to take a photo of yourself, but at a certain point, you kind of would have to ask yourself, like, are you doing that just so you can say that?
Yeah, and like, how is that happening? Because how old is she? 27? Like, what was like when she was like
Well,
2?
presumably her parents did it when she was little.
They just always took a photo every day, I guess.
I guess, like as just a, for a baby book project or something, you could make a little time lapse or something. Oops. I mean, I do 5 more minutes is like a little vlog that I do every day.
Yeah.
Nobody asks me to do that. I just, so I could see kind of like that, I guess.
Yeah, but for 27 years, it's a lot of
That's
photos.
true. That's true. And also, I would stop doing 5 more minutes the instant it turned into something that felt like work. All right. Next up, Cole Metters. Doggy.
No, he doesn't want to be not paid attention to.
Cole Metters is a wilderness therapy guide. He is 24. Wilderness therapy. That's an interesting profession, but I guess I kind of get it. Maybe people who, just the idea that getting people out in the world is a good way to be therapy for some things.
Yeah, it sounds pretty noble.
Yeah,
and
he says, yeah.
Flourish.
I would guess though that a therapy guide is probably a healer.
Yes, healer is what I meant.
Yeah. He says he's most like Spencer. From season 28, he specifies. He came across as a nerd or just a little awkward, but he ended up being really dominant in challenges. His inspiration in life is Tommy Coldwell. This man is a professional climber who lost his ring finger and has a family. Oh, okay. The man has it all just by pursuing his passions. His motto is no excuses. So I feel like that seems like a reasonable person to find as your inspiration, but the way he said it is kind of strange.
Yeah, the way that he combined losing his ring finger and having a family into one thought.
Yeah, like boy, who would have thought you could lose your ring finger and still have a family? I mean, I think the implication you can read between the lines and get what he's saying, but it's a weird phrasing.
It is phrased the way that you described, where I think what he just meant was that he had an injury and he has a family that he has to take care of, so it's like hard that he has this injury. But the way that it's tied together makes it sound like who would have thought you could still be married if you didn't have a ring finger?
Yep. He can't stand lazy people who shirk responsibility. All right. That's another one where you that rides the line, I think. Not everyone necessarily have a problem with other people being lazy, right? But what if it annoys him? All right. Next up, incidentally, we are now at a halfway point. We have done 9 of 18. So next is Joe Mena. He is 34, and he is a probation officer, which I guess probably hero? Or healer? I don't know. You could make a case of healer if you're trying to help people get back on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, I would call that a healer more than a hero.
I would guess that just from a, I don't know. That makes sense to me. Ooh, his bio is long because he was wordy in his answers. His inspiration in life, a hero is someone, he says heroes, so I don't know if that maybe indicates he's on the hero tribe. A hero is someone who is noble and will not let you down. My sisters are my heroes. They are noble, loyal, and love me unconditionally. He would want to, if you could have 3 things on the island, he says, me, myself, and a picture of my children. I don't think I would need anything but a picture of my children. A picture would provide me with a tangible image of them instead of just a mental image. That's interesting. Just that he kind of chose to not answer the question. I mean, but that's an answer to not answer it in the normal way, right?
Yeah. I don't like that his hobbies, not that I don't like his hobbies, but how he describes this. He says working out, playing video games, parenthesis, fantasy football, and playing sports, parenthesis, flag football. I don't consider fantasy football a video game.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, unless he's talking about football video games and just calling that fantasy football, but that seems unnecessarily confusing since fantasy football is an actual thing that's not a video game.
Right. And most people refer to video game footballs by their proper title. Like that's just a common thing, like Madden.
Yeah.
You know? So
Interesting. Oop, there we go. 2 minutes just flies by, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up, Simone Nguyen. Nguyen. I always feel like I'm not pronouncing that name correctly. It is the Nguyen. Nguyen.
I think it's Gwen.
Nguyen.
Gwen.
Gwen.
Like.
Oh yeah, okay. Gwen. I think that's right. I feel like because I've definitely heard it, and I think you're right. So I'm not penalizing us trying to pronounce her name correctly. Okay, starting the timer now. She is 25. She is a diversity advocate, which I could see maybe being actually diversity advocate. I could see that being hero. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I found a site.
Depends on your attitude, I guess.
So I now know what they are.
Okay, you're cheating.
I'm just so sick of trying to remember. So let's see what they are.
Okay, so which is she then?
She's a hustler.
Oh, okay, I guess I could see that too, in the sense of what you would have to do to be a diversity advocate.
Yeah.
Her pet peeves: she dislikes people who lack self-awareness. I share that. At the same time that I sometimes recognize it in myself. Except that when I recognize it, I'm not doing it. Okay, never mind. She would bring her journal, her red Vietnamese blanket, and chapstick. What's your reason for being on Survivor? I wanted a change for like a month. That is my favorite answer to that question ever.
That's really funny.
She thinks she'll survive because she has good luck, and I'm unafraid to make consequential decisions that affect everyone's game. Well, that's good because you have to do that. Her inspiration.
Personal claim to fame is a humble brag or genuine. She says, I don't have one, but I'm proud of the fact that I earned full rides to Columbia, Harvard, and Tufts.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously a significant achievement, but the question is is it a humble brag, or does she just genuinely not consider that a claim to fame and instead chose to answer she's proud of that, but doesn't consider it a claim to fame?
Right. That's my curiosity is, the insight into her personality. Is she just sort of obtusely genuine about that and not realizing that it sounds like a humble brag, or is it a humble brag?
We have someone in the chat, BB, asking, that's a really nice hat. What brand is it, and what does the inside of the hat look like?
Nice. It's actually my friend's hat brand. It's called Treeline, and what they do, you would be familiar with this, Chris, from being from Colorado. You know how with climate change, the beetles have started to grow in population. They don't freeze out. So they destroy the pine trees at rapid rates. So for every hat that you buy, they plant 5 pine trees. And they don't make any profit. Like she and her husband have regular jobs. They just do this as a charity endeavor.
Nice.
So it's called Treeline Project. I mean, the inside just looks like the inside of a hat. They have a couple different ones, but this one in particular, the logo is like a old school ski lift stitched onto it, and it's a corduroy hat.
Nice.
So I got the hat just to support their project, but I really like it.
It does look nice, like a nice hat.
Yeah, and I had worked out before this, and my hair was kind of messy, so I decided. So
it's got a big, is it the bill?
It's a flat one. Yeah.
All right. So next up, with that little non-sponsored advertisement outside.
But yeah, Treeline. Yeah. And they have an Instagram where people take pictures in unique places like hiking on glaciers and stuff, wearing their products. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's somebody that I've been friends with for probably about 10 years. So I'm really proud of what they're
Sounds
doing.
like they're a hustler.
They
right?
are. Yeah, they are. So proud of what they're doing, and I'm proud that people like, and they make good stuff because I get compliments on it all the time. So even in a Survivor chat.
All right. So next up, Ashley Nolan. She is 26 and she's a lifeguard. That's pretty surely a hero. Although again, it's like you could kind of make the case for healer. Like you could see that it's both things, but I think hero's better fit there.
Yeah, she is a hero.
All right. She says she is most like Richard Hatch. Richard Hatch seemed to have the right idea, and because he won, I am a winner.
Fair.
Yeah, all right, but that's kind of I wonder if that just means that she is not necessarily a like super fan. You know what I mean? Like maybe she's like she likes it obviously, but to go with the winner of season 1 for season 35 is not necessarily a deep cut. All right,
classic winner.
Yeah, that's true, and maybe she just really identifies with him. Hopefully she does not follow his lead in a tax sense. But anyway, she says, life is way too short to not say yes to everything. My dad and I have wanted me to be on Survivor since season 1. There you go. And I finally decided that I should stop messing around and go out and win $1 million for myself and the family. I get super anxious when life starts to settle too much, so I really needed another curveball in life to mix things up a bit, and this is certainly it. All right. And she is.
First, you're last. She says.
I'm sorry.
If repeat. Says if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah.
That was her. I think she thinks she's she hates to be last. Refuses.
Ah.
Stubborn and confident.
Well, hopefully for her sake, she won't be voted out first. She says the whole world inspires her. Oops. The whole world inspires her. Nice. All right. Next up, Devin Pinto. He is 23 and he is a surf instructor. Which, probably hustler, I would think.
Yep.
Yeah, he is. His reason for being on Survivor, I think playing Survivor would be the most satisfying accomplishment, and winning would be even more satisfying. I have this itch to play the game that just needs to be scratched. All right. I am most proud of the man I have become today from being on my own since graduating high school, accomplishing the things I have, and living wild experiences. Although this is interesting because his parents are his heroes. They were young parents at the age of 22, and yet they managed to stay together and be there for my siblings and I throughout all these years. But then he also says on his own since graduating high school. I mean, I guess what that means is he didn't go to college, right?
Yeah, I think that's what he's implying. He just started working, created his own business and did all those things without staying at his parents' house or in college. Like he went on and started his life independently, hustling.
Yep. He thinks that he will survive Survivor because when everyone is too busy either loving me or underestimating me, I'm going to be picking them off one by one until I am the sole survivor. If we didn't already know he was 23, I would guess it.
Yeah.
Hobbies are surfing, yoga, and playing music. Yeah.
Pretty standard for a surf instructor, I would think.
Yeah. And he would bring his guitar so he can serenade everyone, surfboard to pass the time, riding perfect untouched waves, and champagne to celebrate all the immunity challenges I'm going to win for my tribe. He's adorable. He's like a puppy.
So are you.
All right. Next up, Katrina Radke.
Olympian.
Yeah. Oh, she's 46, Olympian. Indeed. Hobbies, outdoor adventures, martial arts, dancing, meditation, and personal growth work. That's interesting, but non-specific. Personal claim to fame, being a mother. I want to know about her Olympic swimmer. Swam for the 1985 USA 1985 to 91 and the 1988 Olympics. All right. Her reason for being on Survivor is to win! Exclamation point, all caps. To win the $1 million, she continues to say. I love to challenge myself and allow my own intensity to thrive in a game like Survivor. I'm also fascinated by human dynamics and what happens to people in these situations. Oh, yeah, see? We like that too.
Yep. I like her 3 things on the island: a journal to write, music to dance, sing, and have fun, and a picture and letter from my family.
Nice.
So, those are good ones.
Yeah. She studied nonviolence and Gandhi while at UC Berkeley. And that's her. It's a good place to do it, I guess. I am inspired by how he was able to use nonviolent resistance in a positive way. His profound spirituality and belief in justice altered history. There are 2 powers, love and fear. I like to focus on the power of love.
It's the power of love.
Dun, 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 boom, 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 boom. All right. Okay. I'm distracted now by thinking of that song. She thinks that she will survive Survivor just because she can win. She seems potentially intense, but that's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, she is an Olympian.
Yeah.
They tend to have some driven personality.
Probably a good asset in water challenges.
Yes.
All right. Next up.
By the way, just as a quick aside, speaking of that, like real fast, like I saw, because Michael Phelps works with us a lot now at Arizona State. Like he works for our swim team. But he gave like a talk to our student athletes and our staff. And he dead serious. He's for 8 years, he worked out every day. He said he didn't take a single day off, and he's not being hyperbolic. Like, it's not hyperbole.
No.
Like, he looked at it and he was like, that's 52 more times I have to get better than everybody else on Sunday. And then the 4 or 5 major holidays. Like, I'm getting 57 days better than everybody by doing that. But that is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of, it's always the question when you talk about someone who's, trying to be literally the best in the world at something, right? Is what does it take? What other things do you have to sacrifice in order to shoot for that achievement,
Right. And that's what his coach said. He's like, yeah, you hear all this stuff about his like long wingspan, his, long torso, short legs, lots, crazy diet. He's like, but this is what makes you like take all of those assets and makes him do what he did. So anyway, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I muted myself while my dog was barking. Yeah. All right. But, so she was on the Olympic team. It doesn't mention medals, but still on the team. Certainly a notable achievement.
Yes, I would assume that she did not medal, or it would have called that out in her.
Yeah,
they tend to do that, but still good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, qualifying for the Olympic team. Yeah. All right. Next, Lauren Rimmer. She is 35. She is a fisherman. All right. That's probably a hustler. It doesn't seem obvious to be a hero or a healer in that context, but
that is correct.
Yeah. Her personal claim to fame is her daughter. She is determined, smart, and my driving force. Her inspiration in life is her mother. I've seen her struggle my entire life to make sure that I have had everything I needed. She had taught me to be a strong, independent woman with morals and a high determination to overcome any struggle that may come my way. Excuse me. Yeah, so very family-oriented, it sounds like.
Yep. She says she's not like any other Survivor contestant. She always tries to do things differently.
That just leapt out at me too. And on the first, there's an aspect where you could say, you might answer that way if you just can't think of someone that you're like. But at the same time, just the confidence to kind of just say, nope, I'm not like any of them. Your question is which one, but I'm going to say none. And, the idea that you're going to go in trying to not compare yourself to other people is an interesting way to approach it. She wants to test herself and see what she's made of after all of these years of having to survive for myself in real life. Put her years of hard work to use and getting to travel to exotic locations.
Right. Yeah. She seems genuine, hardworking, level-headed.
All right. Her hobby is softball, traveling, and gardening, and anything to do with a boat. That makes me think of Wind in the Willows. There's a quote, I'm going to butcher it, but just there's nothing quite so fine as simply messing about with boats.
Not because of all the softball they played?
Well, there was a significant softball arc in that book. A lot of people don't remember that part because they didn't have it in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
I think the Eagles had a championship softball team.
All right. We're down to just 3 left. Next is Ryan Ulrich. At age 23, he is a bellhop. Got to be a hustler there. Makes me think of the Grand Budapest Hotel and how hard Zero had to work in that movie.
Yes, I'm sure he probably also has some ambition like beyond that.
Oh yeah, he's working his way up through the hotel industry, learning the ropes, that sort of thing, maybe.
Actually, no, he's saving up to go to law school.
Oh well, there you go. That works too.
Yeah.
So that in that case, the occupation is not necessarily the primary identifier there as far as being on the team. Like if he's working hard to put himself through school.
Right. So he's a hustler because he did internships with both houses of Congress, the British law school. So that's where his hustler is. Like he's on the front end of like becoming the self-made, person.
So. If he could have 3 things on the island, he would bring a sports visor, a McDonald's Shamrock Shake because they are seasonal, so any opportunity I have to get one, I have to take, and a podium so I could give press conferences to pretend people care about what I have to say. That is fantastic. I love that. I love all of that. And he says he's most like Todd from Survivor China, which is good because I liked Todd. He loves the game. He's wanted to play this game since he was 6 years old. How's that for pointing out to everybody how young he is and how, by comparison, 6 years old.
Yeah, because how old is it? Well, it's 35, so it's 17 years old, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Yeah, we were out of college when this show started.
Yeah. All right.
So the one last thing I want to say about him that's not related to his biography is that what I like is this. He struck me as what they've done is they've clearly put people from different generations. They've gone out of their way, it looks like, to find people of different generations to fit within these categories. So it's like flipping the millennial thing on its head. So you now have millennials, Gen Xers, and actually these 23-year-olds aren't even, I think they're barely even millennials at this point. All in the same tribe now, as opposed to pitting them against each other. So I think that's interesting that they've been careful to do that to balance. So
it's not necessarily the most racially diverse cast they've ever had. We've got 2 African American and 1 indeterminate. Alexandria is darker skinned, but perhaps a mixed race of some kind.
Yeah, and then
Simone probably Vietnamese, I would guess, from the last name.
She said that she had Vietnamese blanket. It was one of her items. So
that's right. Yep.
Fair.
All right, but our last 2 that we have not yet talked about, we have Desi Williams. She is a physical therapist, and she is 27. She is congenial, forthright, and unremitting. Unremitting. It's a vocabulary word for this context. Unremitting. What do you think she even means by that?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little weird, right? That's strange. Anyway. She thinks she'll survive Survivor with charm, wit, beauty, mental fortitude, physical strength. All of these traits and more will ensure I'm the sole survivor. Already in good shape, I will show up on the island the strongest, quickest, most powerful, and agile I've ever been. Borrowing from my childhood love of puzzles and games or logic and strategy, my mental sharpness will be at its peak. A natural academician? I will arrive having not only watched, but studied the game. If you combine these traits with my will to win and my expertise in gaining feigned camaraderie, I'm nearly unbeatable. Wow.
Yeah, there's some ego here.
Maybe that's what unremitting means.
One of the definitions of it is never relaxing or letting up.
Yeah, okay. I could see that from
work here. Yeah, I mean, it actually is a good use of the word now that.
Yeah. She could have also just said like determined, but yeah. I suppose it's not necessarily identically in meaning, but boy, that whole paragraph there just suggests she has a plan.
Yeah.
Or at the very least that she has prepared herself.
Yeah,
that's an intense bio.
Yeah, everything every one of the categories in here she spoke with all sorts of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be interesting.
Yeah. So last but not least, Mike Zahalski, who is 43 and he is a urologist. So healer, I guess. Pet peeve, double dipping because I am a germaphobe.
This is going to be good thing for you to play then.
What?
So this is going to be a good game for you to play, Survivor.
Yeah. He'll be really determined to make sure all the water is boiled and the food is cooked through, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
His inspiration in life, my wife and my children inspire me to be a better version of myself every day. He would want to bring a photo of his kids, a deck of cards, and an extra pair of underwear. I just feel like that's all. It's such an extra pair. Like, why, if you're just talking about clothes, why wouldn't you say an extra pack of underwear? Like, just one pair? I don't know.
Maybe he only needs one pair extra.
Just he needs one that he can be doing laundry, and so he can wear the other one.
He's efficient.
He just doesn't want to ever have to be naked. Doesn't want to have to be naked while he washes his underwear, so he has one pair to wear while he washes the other pair.
Yeah, efficient.
Yeah, there you go. He thinks he'll survive Survivor because he's been a fan since season 1. So I understand how the game has changed. I am smart, I am strategic, and I am social. People will be hugging me as I vote them off.
Yeah, this guy sounds like one of those, that classic quote that, no good strategy survives contact with the enemy.
Yeah.
This feels not well thought out. I don't know that he's going to be having to truly hug him as he votes them off. If he tries to be that way, I feel like it will come across as conniving. And
yeah. Well, I agree with you. Just a little extra time there. Like, we can see how short his answers are in this compared to some of his fellow contestants. And that, to me, speaks of someone who's not a talker. You know what I mean? Like, not that he's unable to speak, obviously, but just not necessarily, that's not his outgoing. He's not necessarily an outgoing, verbose person. which doesn't necessarily make you bad at the social game, but it's maybe a flag, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So those are our 18 contestants. No returning players this season, which I think I'm kind of glad. I mean, it's always fun when we have returning players, but we've been doing that a lot. So, yeah. So what do you think? Favorites?
It's kind of tricky, this one. I mean, because when they're divided up this way, you have to predict who's going to make it out of their own tribe first, before even like thinking who can win the game. I'll be, I think I'll be rooting for Alan Ball, the NFL player. I like the NFL, and he seemed like a good guy. There's one of the girls that I really like. Oh, Chrissy.
Yep. She was the one that had traveled all the continents. She was the actuary.
Yes. So if she can, not project, I've done all these things. I am this smart. Like, that can be kind of annoying. If she's able to kind of subdue that, then I think she could be really good, and I'd be rooting for her.
I liked her too.
I don't think he's got a real chance, but I like Ryan.
His answers were funny, that's for sure.
He's funny, and I think he will last for a while because he is funny. But I don't know, funny is hard to carry you through, and if there's more substance before I vote any more confidence in him.
There's definitely a certain class of player that gets by well enough on the charm and not ever making too many waves, and then gets voted out shortly after the merge.
Yeah.
I liked Simone's answers, and I don't know, she just my gut. I have a hunch that I think she's going to be really good. I liked Chrissy also. And Ryan, I feel like I liked his answers enough that I feel like he's going to be fun to watch, even as I kind of agree with you. I'm not sure if he's going to be long. I feel like Mike, the last one that we talked about here, the urologist, it did just strike me as he's maybe a first to go kind of guy.
Yeah. I don't think Devin has, just based on our snap judgment, I don't think Devin has a shot to win. But I think he will stay around for a little bit because he's on that hustler tribe, and he will probably work hard and be good at challenges, which they would think that tribe would respect. That's my one fear for Simone is, if she's not strong in the challenges, which she may be. I mean, she just does, but just from, again, from looking at her, she's the smallest girl on that tribe.
Yeah.
Would they cut her loose simply because of that with no thought? So that's my only concern for her. But I think if she gets some, makes it for a little bit, I think, she definitely seems really sharp and seems to answer things in a way that makes she could be really good at this. So
Cole could be pretty good. He was the wilderness therapy guide. Has a lot of the outdoor experience, is going to be in probably pretty good shape and have that part under control, but also just the therapy guide aspect of that speaks to me of a capacity for empathy that you don't necessarily see in everyone who's outdoorsy. So he could be good.
Yeah, and he's on that healer tribe, which, it looks like, somebody who has that sense of empathy, hard worker, they kind of float right in that middle of this is somebody we really want to have around,
Katrina also could potentially be another one of those castaways who's like could try to take a leadership position. Although I would guess Olympian is she on Hero
She
tribe?
is.
So that's potentially a tough tribe to try to be the leader on. I would think of the three. That's going to be the one with maybe the most alpha types.
Yeah, because that has the NFL player, the Marine, Chrissy, which I forget exactly what her job was. Oh, the actuary.
Actuary is Hero?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
It probably has something to do, just reading like her bio, there's probably something with like why she's traveled to all those continents, that there's probably some other charge, like just looking at how hard of a worker and like her skill set, I feel like there's like another part to her that like they didn't talk about in that little bio that's like why she's the hero.
Could be. I also wondered going in if it was going to be potentially a question of trying to have 3 men and 3 women on each tribe, just because some of the professions that we might normally think of as hero type professions, just in our society tend to be more gendered towards men, which is not to say that there aren't lots of women doing it, of course, but just that in terms of the pool that you're choosing from might be more loaded with men in that category, and then vice versa for healers could be more gendered towards women, but not necessarily. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, or maybe you're exactly right that it'll. I mean, because like
it's 3 and 3, so just
yeah.
I mean, you are correct.
But it also might be that the actuary is just not the part of her that they decided made her like a hero. Just like, the kid who's a bellhop, even though we could say bellhop seems like a hustler sort of job, we're thinking that putting himself through school is kind of the real element of that, not so much that he works as a bellhop.
Right. But we had to like infer that from his answers, and maybe she didn't, give it away in her answers.
Well, she talked about, doing hero type things, just adventure travel and, the travel, all the, all 7 continents. I just actually, in looking back over her bio, her pet peeve was when someone doesn't hold a fork correctly and eats like a caveman. Now that's a pet peeve for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. So my guess is that it's like her hobbies and her travel that is kind of where that's coming from more so than the actuary work. Well, but I'm excited. New season coming up, starting Wednesday.
We will learn more starting Wednesday. So
indeed, and we'll perhaps see if this CBS All Access thing has anything to do with it. I mean, obviously, I think it'll be on CBS regularly, but for unsurvivor related reasons, I've been looking into the CBS All Access for Star Trek, and if I have it, then that might be how I try watching Survivor.
Interesting. I just pulled up Chrissy Hoffbeck's Twitter to see if it said something about her.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but the cover photo is her family in Antarctica.
Oh, nice. So that wasn't even just her; it was a family trip, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe it was just to basically say she had already been to the other 6 continents and wanted to be able to say all 7.
Yeah. So we need to go to.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. All right. So we once again will delve into the intricate psychological complexities of a game in which people are dumped on a beach in their underwear. I don't know why I said it like that. Like somehow whatever. It's a good game. We like it. You guys, if you're listening to this, you probably know that.
It's a lot of fun, and it starts on Wednesday.
Yep.
And I've already started seeing ads for it on CBS. So.
Yep. And so when that episode comes out, we'll talk about it on Talking About Survivor.
Yes, we will.
Right. So for now, good night, everybody.
Good night.